Hey, welcome along everybody for another session here at KipperTie on Unfiltered. I'm John Marchant, my colleague Bryce Munn.
Hello.
This is going to be a fairly short and sweet one today. Something that we've been trying desperately to get to is to be at the point with our Strata Electro product where we're happy to open the order book. So that is now the case as of right now for Strata Electro in its RF to PL incarnation. There are multiple versions, RF EF, there's an E to PL version as well, and there are supporting brackets for those various kind of combinations coming along the line as well. RF PL is the bread and butter as we see it right now, and is going to be the first to ship.
Supporting brackets.
Supporting brackets, exactly. So we've the way I've got things rigged up at the moment here is my personal favourite, the smallest, the OG Komodo. I think people are kind of baffled that this all actually fits in the form factor that it does, but
it is pretty impressive.
Yeah. So this is two simple side rib brackets that support either side. There's exactly the same fitting if it's a Komodo X, and we have versions that do pretty much that for the Raptor as well, and Raptor X, of course.
Nice.
And of course, any spare real estate that's going, as we know, we machine gun it full of quarter 20s and ARRI standard mounting points and so on, because that's just what you do. That's yeah. It would be rude to leave a piece of metal untouched in that regard, so you can accessorize further and further if you need to. The obvious question I know people are going to have is are these shipping right this instant? Not quite. But we have signed everything off, so we're at the point now basically where I'm happy that we can take orders. We'll be shipping it in August, and yeah, RFPL will be the first to go. I literally just grabbed some stuff from our production shelves. Anybody who's ever visited our offices here will have seen some of the storage process for assembly that we go through here.
Give you a very quick look around the room.
Yeah, that's it. Don't let the secrets out.
Piles of boxes anywhere and everywhere.
That's it. So yeah, we do all the final assembly work here as well as the design work. We do quite a lot of proper manufacturing in our lovely barn here, and I just literally grabbed a few things just to show. Yeah, we are in the thick of it in terms of manufacturing. These are some of the filter trays. One of the three moving filter trays that exist inside the Strata Electro there. So yeah,
exciting. You can see the secrets of how it works.
Yeah, you can see some of the beautiful little lead screw in there. I love that.
Tiny, yeah.
Tiny little parts. But yeah, I just wanted to make it clear for people that yeah, we are opening the order books, and we have lots of physical product ready to assemble. There are some finer points that we're just working through, but yeah, we're getting pretty close to go time there.
Brilliant.
Obviously, we've got some example footage, and we've got bits and pieces to show. The most obvious thing that I can do here is just show you a working unit switched on and alive. If I make a change to an ND, you can see the combination changing. There's a particular sort of philosophical point of how the ND works here. But for me, it doesn't matter if the device is off or whatever you do. If you set an ND value on this physical wheel and you come to switch it on, it will move to that preset value. So it's a physical switch.
Yeah.
Even though it's an electronic function. There are times when it's appropriate to have the sort of infinite scrolling wheel for menu-based systems. This has hard-coded physical components, and so a hard-coded physical control that guarantees that you're going to get that ND, doesn't matter what happens. It's absolutely ideal. And the other thing is that, although the battery life on this is supported by power coming from the camera, it also means that if it's switched off, it continues to function exactly as you left it. So in that sense, having a set and forget value is exactly what you need. So as soon as we power up, it remembers, oh, okay, I'll jump straight to this setting.
Very smart.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it goes. And obviously the filter change time, the most that you might need to do is it might need to move 3 stages.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of time, a little tiny bit of sound there as it moves.
Quicker than manually whizzing through the revolver wheel, though, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of setting it and getting what you want to get, yeah, very, very simple and straightforward. And it's nice to use. At launch, unexpectedly, really, and kind of driven by some of the delays that we've had, the iData functionality is possible right from the start.
Oh, right, okay.
So we weren't necessarily planning on that, but that is going to be incorporated. What isn't, and will roll out as the demand comes along, is the 4-pin port that we've got on the bottom corner here. You can choose whether to have that or not. If you don't think you're going to need it, Limo connectors are notoriously expensive. You can actually elect not to have that, and it literally knocks £50 off the bill of materials. It's a very expensive port. If you don't think you're going to use it, you don't have to pay for it. If you think you might, you can opt to have it at build time, and then in firmware that'll get enabled later on. So we can do remote wired control through a receiver for a wireless follow focus unit, for example. We're also open as far as this is concerned. So if you're one of the people out there, and there are plenty of you who are smart developer types, that again is open for kind of creativity in terms of how you might want to use it.
Absolutely.
An interesting point, actually, we were looking at how the glass moves there. Although we're transitioning physical pieces of glass, I think we might have a video example to illustrate how this would work. Although we're transitioning physical pieces of glass, there's no hard bar in between them. So yes, you do have like a roll down effect, but actually, it's arguably get away withable. It's one of those things. Obviously, with our electronic ND stuff, you can absolutely pull focus and pull iris in the same move, as it were. And pull the ND at the same time. You can just see in this example here how that will look.
That's filter changes, the exposure changes there.
Yeah. So again, it's the kind of thing that means that you could do a fix in post. You could, you don't lose any pixel data.
And I've certainly seen particular reality TV programs go out with,
with a lot worse than that. Yeah, absolutely. So that's just an interesting point that the way we built it. There's no hard cut between the pieces of glass. It's all laminated. The clear and the ND is laminated on the exact same glass, which also means that there's absolutely guaranteed to be no back focus shift when you move that, because the optics are identical. You're going through the same pieces of glass. So from that perspective, through all of those changes, so 0 through to 2.1, at no point do any new pieces of glass get introduced or taken away. You're always looking through the same glass components.
Which is what made it take so long to
that's one of the
all the
exactly
reflections. And
yes, we had some fun and games with that. Not to get too deep technical on it, the main sort of philosophical issue that I had to some extent dial back expectations on from my perspective was around the compromise between dust sealing and weatherproofing and layers of glass, internal reflections and so on. My ideal at the outset of the project had been to say, okay, let's do everything we can to keep the outside world from getting in. And there's a limit really to how much you can do that. When there are multiple layers of glass, every time you add a layer, you add an air glass interface, which adds the potential for reflections. And we can accept a certain number of those, but it escalates very quickly. The other thing is that as you add multiple layers, if we're talking about additional cover glasses and protective glasses and that kind of thing, ironically, you actually increase the exposure that you have to creating a glass surface that dust can settle on. So
win.
You can end up chasing your tail with that, which to some extent we had. What we've settled on in the Strata Electrode design is that there are 3 glass components that move. Of those, you can access to clean the frontmost and rearmost layers.
When you say access to clean, that's literally through the front
what you can see at the front, what you can see at the back when you take it, dismount it from the camera. Those can be cleaned. And then you've got 4 surfaces, effectively, that you can't directly access. Now, the nice thing is you can't directly access them, so you should not be able to fingerprint them, get dirt on them to any significant extent.
That would take skill.
Which, yeah, you'd have to mean it to get in there. However, what we've established, trying to do our R&D diligence on this, is that trying to fully prevent dust from getting anywhere, if you have any movable mechanism at all, something will happen. And
especially the environments that some of...
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every second Instagram picture I see of you guys using our gear, it's covered in dirt. It's out there in the world doing things. So yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, everybody puts this stuff through the ringer. The principle that we went with for Revolver early on was it'll get dusty, make sure you can clean it easily. What we've ended up with here is a blend of 2 principles, which is make sure any surface that can be touched can be cleaned easily. You can use canned air on it, you can wipe it with a swab, you can, it's not mega fragile.
T-shirt?
In a push, I definitely have. But then there are some surfaces which you can't touch, but that also should be highly unlikely to get anything unpleasant landing on them. What's interesting though is the choice that we ended up making there is that some of the sealing was creating problems, not reducing problems. So sealing between one layer and the next was actually creating issues. So what we've elected to do there is allow the layers to float separate from one another very slightly. And that means that, if, some little frictional particle appears that gets in there, a quick squirt of canned air will actually move everything on. There are anti-static coatings on the glass. It means that anything that does land there is ready to fall off. And this is a similar principle really to how the automatic sensor cleaning works in a lot of DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, where you give it a little jiggle and a shake and the dust particles just fall away. In a similar way, if we do get dust internally, a tap or a little puff of canned air clears things.
It's almost the exact opposite to what you might be told.
It's honestly, dust inside of optics is virtually impossible to avoid. The only places that I see where it's genuinely avoidable is when you have a clean room sealed cover glass on top of an image sensor, for example.
Right.
Yeah. And even then, although it's sealed for life, I'm sure there are plenty of rejects. There are plenty weeded out in QC that where something might have gone wrong. But weather sealed lenses, for example, things that are marketed as usable in all environments, things that are marketed to high-end professionals, things that are sealed for life, apart from when you've got doublets glued together, you've got optical components that should be completely sealed away, dust inside them all the time. You can't get away from it. So yeah, like I say, the compromise, the engineering compromise and the principle that I've had to go for is, yeah, twofold. Make it easy to clean where dirt could get on it, and come up with a way whereby dirt that does manage to infiltrate to areas you can't touch has the best possible chance of being cleaned without you having to touch it.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that is the best that we can do in a system that is designed to be modular in this way. The other aspect of it is that because of the placement of the filters relative to the sensor, unlike an ND system that's built in absolutely adjacent to the sensor, we are way away from the plane of focus. So actually, we've seen this a lot with Revolver and Strata before. A crew might look after a shot and go, "Oh my God, there's a load of dust all over go back, check that last shot. There's this massive, great blob sitting there looking at me that's got in a lens change or whatever." And then you go and check the footage, and it's like, well, is it? No, it's not there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're so far from the plane of focus. Whereas, of course, you look at the opposite end of the scale. You have a mirrorless sensor, and you get a tiny little dot of dust directly on the sensor cover glass, and then you've got a great big blob, which is such a nightmare to deal with in post as well. I hate those.
Yeah.
Yeah, not
Been
a lot of
there.
fun. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. It's live on the site right now. I won't rattle through all the pricing. It's very easy for you guys to jump online and take a look at that. Yeah, there's going to be a relatively small first batch that will go out sooner than the rest. But yeah, we hope to have it online along with the rest of our products and sitting in stock in not all that distant future, really.
Very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, pleased to finally get that one over the finish line to a good degree. It's not been straightforward to achieve what we wanted to. It's interesting that now we do have, in parallel to this, a completely different system that was meant to be our next generation, moving into the electronic ND world. Actually, we're ending up pushing out our physical glass next gen solution and the electronic NDs pretty much around the same time. Real quick note on that electronic stuff as well. So things are progressing nicely with the LC Mini ND. We've got
We're
lots
talking
of stuff
Canon
there. So this is
drop-in one.
the drop into the Canon style mount. First feedback that I had from the market basically was not quite what I had expected in one specific respect. Now, our main target was people who've already got that Canon RF to EF adapter. Loads of them out there. So yeah, dead simple. Click it in, off you go. Lots of people still want to be able to do exactly that, have the electronic drop-in ND, but go to PL.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, well, there's no sense us reinventing the wheel. We always try and look for a niche in the market and fill something, not just copy another existing product. There's no point in that for us. And I was aware that there are some very affordable Chinese lens mounts out there, which will go from E mount, Z, L mount, RF to PL and have that filter slot. So I was like, okay, well, if that's what people want to do, I'll point you to the website. Of course, the instant feedback that I get is totally justifiable. People say, well, I've had bad experiences with those Chinese brands. I haven't, hadn't had the result that I want or the support that I want.
Can see the direction this is going.
So yeah, back nose to the grindstone on the CAD. We will have our own versions of those. We've hinted at it before. We're working closely with Canon to make sure that the RF versions of those will bolt onto the 4-bolt mounting points on the C400, C80 and so on, so it'll have a secure way of attaching. And yeah, we're looking at basically making Z mount, L mount, E mount and RF. And
your work cut out?
all to PL. The RF to PL version will have eye data for red cameras. May be able to do it for Canon. That's a pending. And we are also highly likely, we've got a design, we've just got to work on the economics of it, to do a locking RF to EF, very much like our existing locking RF to EF adapter and revolver, but for that drop-in filter as well.
Fantastic.
So I definitely have reached a point where I think we need a chart. I need to get onto the production department for a graphic that illustrates. Here's the range, because
it's grown a lot.
It's grown a lot, yeah, and I feel like we can hit the mark for a lot of different people now. But yeah, it maybe takes a little bit more explanation. What's the right route to go? And we've got everything from really simple and robust with revolver, just simple mechanical mechanism, through simple, more consumer style electronics with the LC Mini ND. So simple, drop it into place, use your smartphone, make a choice. Solid mechanical stuff with the Strata PLND, which is, still a really physically robust solution. Throw anything at it because it's mechanical. And then obviously now the Strata Electro, where we've got the electronic sophistication, but we've got the pro style physical glass filters with no compromises. So it is, the product range has definitely kind of exploded.
We're going to need a bigger table, and we're going to need to lay them all out. Go through the differences.
Exactly.
That'll be a long stream.
That'll be a longer one. We'll look forward to that. Otherwise, that's all I really wanted to talk about today. Jump on the website, follow our socials, and follow us here on YouTube as well to keep up to date with this stuff. Anything that you need, drop us a comment. Find us through social media, drop us a line, info@KipperTie.com if you're old school, and we'll do our level best to get the answers to you.
I mean, that's where the drop-in mounts come from, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. No, I mean, this is absolutely it. We do our best to listen and respond, and with any luck, being able to do that quickly is going to make a difference for all you guys out there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us once again, and we'll see you next time.